Variety Pack. Food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack. 'Cause variety's the spice of life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Eat North Variety Pack. If you have not watched the show before, make sure to hit subscribe. We come back here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We talk food, drinks, music, art, and a ton more. I'm really excited for tonight, so let's bring on my two co-hosts, Mairlyn Smith, and a special guest co-host tonight, Steve Brochu. Hello, you two.
Hello.
Great to see you. Now, Steve, I can't help but notice you don't look like Carmen Cheng.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. I just wrapped up a cooking class and I appeared here, so I hope to live up to her high standards.
Well, we have very high standards here at Variety Pack, but I'm sure you will, no doubt. And we appreciate you filling in, and we're going to miss Carmen. We'll see her in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, on to a more serious topic. Steve, I'm sure you can relate to this. Alberta restaurants are closing down yet again tomorrow. This is the third lockdown since last spring. And, you know, I can't help but feel so bad for small business owners over and over throughout this pandemic. So you, Steve, as a small business owner of Milk Crate, how are you feeling going into tomorrow?
Not great. It sucks. It really does. But it's this one feels weirder. Like we had the one a year ago, and we had the one just before Christmas, and those ones we could get on board with, but this one feels cruel in a certain way. And you can explain away why we need this lockdown. We need this lockdown. It needs to happen. How it was rolled out, how it was communicated to us, and how rules are being enforced are really starting to take the toll on the public. And you can feel it pretty much everywhere across Canada right now. As a small business owner and the people like me, it's hard and frustrating. I know there's a lot of restaurants that this might be their last lockdown because they just can't do it anymore.
No.
For us, it's just one of those things. It was so deflating, and it's just, okay, let's get back up off the mat. Let's do one more round. If we've made it this far, I mean, we just can't stop now.
It always feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but we never seem to quite get there. In that vein, when the government did let us know that restaurants would have to close for indoor dining as of tomorrow at noon, do you think that they gave restaurants enough time for that? Because I know a big topic of discussion in Vancouver recently, or BC, across the province, was that they gave them about 10 hours notice to shut down their in-room dining, which I don't think was fair at all. Do you think that 4 days is fair?
No. But it's better than 10 hours. And it's, however, like, you can look at it going the other way as like, maybe we should have had a 10-hour notice as well, only for the reason of we've now had 4 business days where people can still eat and drink outside, and they know a lockdown's coming, so they're going to be a little bit more careless as well. And our cases are still going up right now too, and this is not helping. So while on one side there is a bit of mercy to it, the other side is, well, what did this do? Because now we have 2 weeks from Friday, we'll still see high numbers and the effects of these actions. Who knows?
Yeah. In Toronto, they closed down. It's only takeaway. We never had indoor dining opened again, and there were patios opened, and then they shut them. I think they were open for like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, and then boom, they're all gone again. Yeah. So, and I think from my perspective here in Toronto, it's the up and down and up and down and up and down, where I it would have been better, I think, if we just said lockdown for whatever, and then maybe get back. But it's these soft little things. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I hear, our it's a mess. It's a mess. So it's a mess everywhere. On a lighter note, though, it's almost time to get vaccinated, and I'm getting on the list very soon. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to throw my name in and get up. Yeah, and you know what? I am. every time I say I have a friend who gets vaccinated or somebody I know, I start crying. I'm very emotional about getting vaccinated, and I'm yeah. So we just yeah. Anyway, what do you guys feel about getting vaccinated? I know I'm going to cry the entire time I'm getting it done. I'm going to be a mess, but in good, happy tears.
Steve, why don't you go first?
My parents are now vaccinated. They've got their first shots, so I'm super happy about that. Of course, we still can't really see them, but it's just one less threat towards my parents, and it also kind of means that I didn't kill my parents over this pandemic, so I feel pretty good about that. I can't wait to get mine probably by the end of June, and our whole team will as well.
Good.
Yeah. For me, I'm putting myself on as many waiting lists as I can as possible. There's a lot of gray area when it comes to being able to get shots. And this is actually why I'm interested to talk to Dakota Kim after our chat, because Dakota's based in LA and probably has a different view on all of this than we have in terms of people getting vaccinated. But I'm trying to get on every waiting list possible, because in Alberta, they are obviously taking people in certain stages, like every province, but they're trying to fill the gaps throughout the day with people that, don't fit in the current requirements for getting a vaccination. But if you're willing to arrive at a pharmacy within an hour, you can get a vaccination. So trust that I am basically just like hanging outside of pharmacies, hoping that with my sleeves rolled up, hoping that I can
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I try to get on the pharmacy list here because they opened it up from, I think, from 50 on or something. But because I carry an EpiPen, as soon as you type that in, it just poots you off. So I have to get mine done at a hospital. So anyway, but yes, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. So there's hope.
Yes.
We need to have hope, and I think that's what everyone's not having right now. So to be optimistic and hopeful, I think, is really where we need to go.
Couldn't agree more. All right, so Steve, let's talk a bit about your past year. Outside of the business that you run, you and your wife, Lourdes, cooked through an entire cookbook of Jillian Harris. Why don't you talk a bit about
that? That's right. We did the Fresh Food, Full Hearts, Jillian Harris and Tori Wesler cookbook, cover to cover, and it was awesome. It took us just over a year. I was feeling a little bad that we couldn't do it in a year, but then I also realized that who am I trying to impress here? No one. So yeah, we did it. It felt really cool to do. It was a cool experience because I've got a lot of cookbooks that I've done like one or two recipes out of, but to actually almost get inside the author of the cookbook and like understand why these recipes are here, the history, and start cooking like them. It was really cool.
It's funny, because you posted that on Instagram, and I wrote, well, you should do all of mine anyway, but never heard back. I'm just kidding. But the only person I never heard, I know who did that was
I'll do your book.
Julia.
I'll do your book. I promise.
Was the movie Julia and Julia, and I love that. I forget her name, her whole name, that, she went right through Julia Child. And I just love that somebody would do that dedication. And then a friend of mine, Marty Michelle, has done all Dory Greenspan's books. And so
cool.
and I think it's just a really cool idea to go from cover to cover, because you're right. It's like a history into a person's life. And so when you cook through their life, you get to know them better. I think that's really neat that you did that.
Thank you. And have either of you guys gone into a deep dive in any book?
I've read them. I've done deep dive reading, but not deep dive cooking. And this too much of a commitment for me. I have been divorced twice, so I'm not maybe good on those long-term.
I do find myself with cookbooks, unless I'm quite unfamiliar with the food culture that it centers around, I do find that I'm sort of like, I have no attention span. I'll see an idea, I'll be following a recipe for the first 3 steps, then all of a sudden I'm like dumping all these other things, and I'm like, is this even this recipe anymore? So, but I do love cookbooks for inspiration. I know, Steve, now you're going through Lauren Toyota's new book, Hot for Food All Day, and Lauren Toyota, for me, again, I always say she can do no wrong in the plant-based world. Like, she does amazing stuff, and it seems like you're having fun with that so far.
We are. It's a different book for sure, but it's super fun.
No, I think that's great. All right. Well, I think it is time to bring on our first guest. LA-based food writer Dakota Kim is a very prolific writer and editor, has written for anyone from LA Times to Vice to Food and Wine. Again, a wide array of topics, a really, really dynamic person. So Dakota, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you on the show.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
So we're so happy to have you, and it's nice to see you again. You know, we were talking before the show went live. We haven't seen each other since 2017, which is a while, but through the magic of social media, you know, I've obviously followed your career for a while. And living in LA, we talked about this a bit earlier, again, with my co-host, but what is the vaccination scene like there now? It seems like it's going a lot better there, actually, than it is for us. So.
Yeah. I would say so. I was actually surprised when you guys said that you were just getting your first vaccines, because so many of my friends here in LA have already been vaccinated and completed their second shot, including journalists. They put out recently a special call for journalists to get vaccinations. So that was a surprise to me. I thought we were so low on the list, but I've had my first Moderna and I'm about to get my second, and I'm really excited. I really need a vacation.
Cool.
No, I'm
so excited for you. My best girlfriend lives in LA. Sorry, I didn't mean to butt into.
Yeah, it's fine.
And she's had both of her vaccinations too, and she said it's very freeing. You know, I mean, you're still masking up and doing all the stuff, but you know, knowing that you're not going to die, I think, is a huge plus. Yeah.
Well, I think 40% of people in the U.S. have been vaccinated. Do you guys know what the numbers are in Canada?
16.
I think we've vaccinated 10 people. So.
No, well, it's 16%.
It feels like zero some days, to be honest with you. Anyway.
We're like pathetic. Anyway,
let's not dwell on that. So
we're talking about inspiration.
Yes, let's do that. And Dakota, actually, one thing that I want to say about your writing is looking back at all the multitude of articles that you've put out, I feel like maybe it's also because you've been based in New York and then LA, but I feel like you've written about many topics before they were top of mind for a lot of people. And an article that I found of yours that you published through Vice, I believe, you talked about sort of gender fluidity through the drag scene in New York. And I think that now that's such a topical thing in this culture, not even just drag culture, it's like in culture period. So I guess my roundabout point is that I found your writing inspiring for sure, because today more than ever it seems like such an important thing to talk about. But moving on to inspirational people, who inspires you, who drives you and keeps you going in the industry?
I have a really good, it's hard to exact through kindred spirits who they connect with, and there's just so much. I'm not so into the influencer scene. I'm really always looking for people who have a really deep take into food. And Sonia Swanson is a food writer based in Vegas, and she's had a huge influence on me. And she's also Korean American, and we just share a lot with each other in terms of Korean American dishes and heritage.
No, that's amazing. So, Mairlyn, do you want to jump in here with who inspires you?
Okay, so I was distracted because I could hear Dan talking in the background about something different.
Sorry.
So anyway,
okay, so
you're a wonderful writer, and I as a foodie, as a food person, there's a lot of people who, they post pictures, but their writing doesn't match. But your writing is so lovely. I read one of your pieces about the 20 most influential, inspiring women, not influential, but inspiring women. And I loved your spectrum of women that you chose, from Mary Shelley, Frankenstein. And then you've got Amanda Gorman, who is a genius, wonderful poet. What is she, like 12? I'm kidding. I mean, I think she's in her 20s. And then Amy Tan. And so of that list, how, I don't want you to say who's your favorite, but, what was the through line of these women that, were inspiring?
Such a good question. I guess, so my mom recently said something to me that really struck me. She said, you act like you got here in life by yourself. And you need to realize that it was all of us who brought you here, your ancestors, everyone. And that's kind of how I think of in terms of writing. And the women writers who came before me who created that opportunity. You know, women didn't have the availability to publish like this. You think of people, various female writers who published under a male pseudonym for so many years. So I love all those writers, and I feel a strong affection for Amy Tan because she was one of the first important novels I read when I was younger. There's been a lot of criticism of her in various Asian American communities, but I think that Joy Luck Club, for me as a girl growing up in the Midwest in Illinois in a small town, that had a really huge influence for me to hear a voice get to when I was growing up in a very homogenous society. So that was huge for me.
It's funny because that book really inspired too. I'm originally from Vancouver, and I grew up in a very a multicultural neighborhood. And my girlfriend, Joreen Lee, had the book, and she lent it to me. And I just remember going, "This is a whole other part of the world that I don't know about." And I loved that book. Yeah. So, okay, when you were a little girl, and I love that your mom said that, you know, you didn't get here on your own. Where did you think you wanted to go? You know, when you were younger, like, did you always want to be a writer, or did you have another career path and that somehow this has all come together?
I think my mother was a classical tiger mom, and much to her chagrin, I became a writer. But I always say it was her fault. She's the one who started me writing. She gave me a diary, and every day after I came home from school on the school bus, I had to write in it. What did I do that day? And so I always blame her. I'm like, well, I'm a penniless writer and it's all your fault. So, but I always wanted to be a writer, but I actually wanted to be a poet. And I'm still kind of nurturing those dreams of maybe becoming a poet someday. So maybe when I'm 60 or 65.
Well, you'll have a lot to talk about then.
Right. Like I need more life experience, right? I have a 1.5-year-old child, so I'm still getting that life experience.
Wow. Motherhood changes everything, don't you think?
Oh my God. For starters, I don't usually look like this when I wake up.
Hey, I'm a 31-year-old. This is what I look like.
It's really tough, but you know, I think it brings more humanity to your writing. I think I have a different perspective now that I have a child. I think there's a lot more humanity in my writing. And I also think all food comes from your elementary foundation, right? And now that I have a child, I understand so much more about my food relationship with my parents, which led me to write an essay for Food 52 recently about being embarrassed about my mom's foraging. And it was like a huge hit. People were like, how come you never wrote anything like this before? And I'm like, because it's so hard to be honest.
That piece in Food 52 was the reason I reached out to you to say that I wanted to have you on the show, because it's not like I haven't seen the other pieces you put out, but I feel like when I read that piece, it just felt so honest and it really resonated. And what a beautiful, unique story. Because I think especially when people write about foraging, you know, you don't think of someone in a relatively, you know, suburban area foraging, right? You think of someone that's like going off to the woods to a secret locale for 3 days. So I found it like quite eye-opening, but also very personal and honest.
Oh, thank you. Well, don't you guys always feel that it's the riskiest piece that brings the biggest reward?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
So, Steve.
Yes.
You know, we don't often have food writers on the show aside from myself. So is there anything that you're keen to ask Dakota?
Absolutely. I have like 18 questions, but I think I can only ask like 2. With the few communities that you've written on, LA and New York specifically, how do you see them recovering from this pandemic? And what was the toll that was taken there? Like, would you say that like the innovation in these major cities that have like defined cuisine for the world and especially North America over the past 10 years, do you think they've hit the pause button for a little while here?
Oh, it's like I need a lifeline.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No. It's a really good question. You know, I love LA and New York so much, having lived in New York for 15 years and then my family having lived in California for so long. It's really interesting. LA has been able to adapt so much more easily because we have so much outdoor space and we can be outdoors year round. And I know everyone hates us because we're so blessed with this weather, but New York has really struggled as far as I've talked to many, many friends there about what they're going through. And even though they've shut down so many streets so that people can walk around and so that restaurants can have additional space, I think a larger number of restaurants there have closed. But I also think the innovations, that you've seen are really amazing. And you're seeing, there's still so much street life in New York, like there always was. So people are finding ways to do it. But I just think so many businesses have closed because I don't know what the paycheck protection limits were for you guys, but I think it was 2.5 times your monthly payroll here. And I think for a lot of people, that just wasn't enough to keep afloat. So they took the PPP money and then they shut down. And I interviewed a couple different Korean karaoke business owners in K-Town here in LA. And they're like, yeah, once that money runs out, we're done. We're over. And we're not coming back. So how is the landscape irreparably damaged? I think we're going to have to fight to regain this culture that we've lost in so many senses. It's sad.
Yeah.
Do you think at some level, I think we're a little bit veering off topic now about inspirations and whatnot, but do you think that larger companies are capitalizing on this, where, the smaller companies are suffering and closing down? Do you think you will see just chains moving into those locations and whatnot, kind of taking over the landscape?
I can totally see that. I don't know if you guys heard, but there was so much criticism of, I think it was Shake Shack, because in the very round one of PPP, Shake Shack took out huge pay. And they ended up giving it back, I believe. But by then, small businesses were like, why do you even have the right to do this? It should be us who are getting the loans. I can totally see that because even in my in Pasadena, where I live, so many chains have opened up during the pandemic. We've had Howlin' Rose Chicken, which is a famous hot chicken spot. Shake Shack opened just a few blocks from me. Just so many chains. Randy's, which is a famous donut chain. They've all opened in Pasadena. So I think they're really, people like what's reliable in a time that's insecure, I think. So I can totally see that happening. It's sad because I owned a diner, a family diner, and that was previously my parents. And you just are able to provide a different level of personal relationships in those kinds of businesses. There's just you can't do that in a Shake Shack.
No, absolutely. I agree 100%. So moving back to inspirational people, or people that are, in the industry, or people we look up to and beyond. One person that I really love is Phil Rosenthal, who's the host of Somebody Feed Phil. I love his wanderlust, and I feel like at some level he's sort of somewhat filled the void of Anthony Bourdain, I think, in that food travel media sense. Is there someone in the food media realm that hosts a show that you look up to or appreciate?
I watched an episode of the Stanley Tucci Italian cooking show. Did you guys see that?
Mairlyn's favorite show.
Yes.
I was going to tell you, I love Julie and Julia. I love Nora Ephron. I'm obsessed with Nora Ephron. And it's so funny that you say that because last night I was feeling kind of down and I was like scrolling through Netflix. I'm like, what do I watch? Julie and Julia. I started watching it. I was laughing. I was crying. I was just like, this is the best movie. And that idea of redeeming yourself that way. So Stanley Tucci has this new series. I believe it's on CNN. And
CNN.
and it's Italian food. And my husband is Italian, and I just love Italian food, and we can't wait to take our son there and show him his heritage. So.
Oh, cool.
It really is an absolutely wonderful show. And again, I think watching shows like that, and also I think Somebody Feed Phil, doesn't it make you sad that you can't go to those places right now? I just feel so, it's this weird addiction that I can't stop watching those kinds of shows, but it also makes me sad at the same time. I don't know.
Don't you guys feel like when you get back into restaurants, you're not going to take it for granted? anymore. Just
Yes.
having a drink at the bar, talking to your favorite bartender.
Mm-hmm.
I miss that so much.
Oh, I've as soon as we don't have to wear masks in restaurants and you can be, have a quote unquote normal experience, I think it will be like you're gonna have a hard time getting me out of the restaurant. So I need to go to a restaurant that's open for brunch, lunch, dinner, and late night. Maybe I'll just set up camp. Anyway, Dakota, it was so great chatting with you. I love your insight on obviously what's happening in the United States and beyond, and obviously it's always inspiring talking to you. And congrats on all your success.
Thank you. Come visit me. I want to see you guys in LA.
Yes.
I'm out here.
Let's get our shots. We are there.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Wow, she's very, very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything she said. I'm now, she's got a new best friend. Well, she might not know that, but I will like to be her new best friend.
You always steal my friends through the show, so I feel like
I do. Well, you have good taste.
And I need to apologize earlier if I seemed a bit distracted earlier on. We're having some camera scene difficulties, which is admittedly my fault. This is live stream, so we try our best, but sometimes mistakes do happen. But on that note, that's why we pre-tape the musicians' performances. So that's probably a good segue. We're going to hear very talented folk soul singer out of Ontario, Tania Joy, perform her current single, The Drought, and we're going to have a little chat with her after.
I pray it's raining outside, 'cause my tears have long dried, and my love, like the tide, has run out. Where there once flowed a river, how I long to forgive her, the silent killer. The drought, ooh, ooh, the drought, ooh, ooh. I played with thunder and light in the same place twice. Love's like a hunger strike, and I'm locked out. Where there's nothing left to prove, I keep holding back the truth, the damned fool. The drought, ooh, ooh, the drought, ooh, 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 I laid it all on the line, to the water from the mine, love like the sweetest wine, hand to mouth, and I held the taste of your love, watershed and damage done, the twisted tongue, the drought, ooh, ooh, the drought, ooh, ooh, you leave me for dead in this drought, you leave me for dead, you leave me for dead in this drought, you leave me for dead, ooh, ooh.
amazing job. Tania Joy, thank you so much for being on the show today. We're so happy to have you.
That was great to be here. Thanks so much.
Yes. I love that song so much. It is such a beautiful song, produced by Hill Corcutis, a very talented producer. But I liken it to, I feel like I get a real Etta James vibe from that song. You know,
wow.
Is that sort of what you're going for with that kind of ballad?
I think I'm influenced by a lot of, I've got a bit of an old soul, so I think I have been influenced by a lot of soul singers, a lot of Motowns, and you know, Otis Redding, and that's sort of the fabric of what I listened to growing up. So I would say that sort of has found its way into what resonates with me, some of the music that is influencing my writing. Yeah.
I think with that song, The Drought, there's just, I love a song that has a certain amount of hurt and emotion in it. And, you know, how do you, I don't know how to quantify this, but how would you feel willing to put that sort of feeling into a song? Because I assume it can't be easy.
Well, I'm a very hard on your sleeve kind of person. It's very difficult for me to hide my emotions, generally speaking. That doesn't mean I'm always on the edge of emotion, but I'm very sort of tapped into that side of myself and other people. So I pay attention to a lot of what people are going through, what their stories are, and I think I'm always just trying to create a feeling in the songs that I write, so that I can, you know, sort of create a connection between me and the audience. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that involves bearing my soul about my own personal life, and other times I pick up on stories from other people. But I feel like we all have a relatable experience, and I guess I'm not afraid to go there emotionally.
I love it.
I think it's wonderful that you're not afraid to go there emotionally, because, you know, I think that authenticity is what's connecting us. Okay, so I'm a fan of The Voice, and I don't know if you are, but if you were on The Voice and you wanted, okay, so the four chairs all turn. You got a 4-chair turn, girlfriend. Which one would you pick?
Me, obviously. Hopefully.
Okay, I have to tell you, I don't have cable right now, so I don't even know who the hosts are.
Okay, so it's Kelly Clarkson, Blake Shelton, John Legend.
Oh, I thought you meant she was Jonas. Picking us, like one of us. And I was like, I don't know what. No offense, Steve, but I don't know what Steve has to offer. or us, or me, or you.
This is going down the toilet.
Anyway,
very fast.
Keep going.
Fast.
I'll just leave.
Okay. So those four. Okay, no, forget that question then. Who would you want to produce your next? I mean, like your dream producer. Like who do you want to learn from that's going to like take you to the next level?
Of the three of us.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm already with the right producer. Yeah. Hill Corcutis is amazing. I don't know if it gets better than this.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a great answer. Thank you. You saved us all. Yeah. But Jeff, take it away.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask how you dealt with overcoming creative blocks. For instance, about 2 months ago, I couldn't come up with a new dish to save my life. And I just kind of wanted to ask how you got through creative blockages.
Well, it's definitely one of those things that's just part of the cycle, I would say, as a creative person. I have a lot of different interests, so I think that I don't try to force it when it's not coming. And, you know, so I might pick up a book or kind of delve into another side of my creativity and wait it out. But oftentimes I am always writing, and I think first and foremost, have to give myself permission to write something really bad. So you would have to give yourself permission to make something that you're, you know, willing to fail at, you know, have sent back to the kitchen and get that out of the way and write the next genius song or make the next amazing dish.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you. That's very insightful, actually. I have some new plans now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Don't come to Milk Crate for like 3 days, guys.
Okay.
Well, wait, we can't go there for at least a few weeks anyway. Shut down.
Yeah, true.
That's a good thing. Good timing.
Yeah,
Good timing.
provincially shut down, not like health inspection shutdowns.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tania, last question before we let you go. We featured you on Eat North recently, where you picked some of your favorite eats and drinks in Uxbridge, Ontario, which admittedly is not a town I am familiar with. But you talk about the local food scene with such vigor. It was just, I feel like your passion really comes through with that. So do you want to talk a bit about why you're proud of the food scene that you're enveloped in?
Well, I think it actually goes a little bit beyond food as well. We have many small independent businesses here. It's a very tight-knit community, and somehow they all band together very well to support each other, especially through times like this. They all take a lot of pride in what their services or they're offering, and they're all very creative, and they bring a really top-notch product, but also a lot of community spirit. So I think it just kind of bleeds into the fabric of how we support one another. It's contagious in a way. And we have so much to offer in a very small community. So, cideries, we have 2 cideries, we have a brewery, we have many restaurants and other like coffee shops that pretty much everyone has survived this time, which is, knock on wood, been obviously very hard to do. So I think it's a bit of a community spirit thing. But also the food it's a joy to bring other people to town and have so much to offer, on the menu for them. So I'm pretty proud of everybody, and I'm very happy to have found this town, because I didn't settle down very easily. I moved around a lot, and this is the only place I've lived longer than I've been here almost 10 years, but before that I hadn't lived anywhere longer than 3. So that's so
it's home.
It's a great place.
Yeah,
it's home.
Last question before we let you go. Where once things are quote unquote normal again, what's the first place you want to play live at?
Oh, I can't see that. It would be local. And that's what makes that very hard to answer. But I think it would be nice to ease into it and do something outside on the patio. We have a music festival here in town in the spring typically, but I think we'll take it whenever we can get it. So to be able to just bring everybody out and have live music in the streets and be part of that's kind of a dream.
And hopefully that dream can come true by hopefully the fall. We'll cross our fingers.
Yes, fingers and toes crossed.
Yes, absolutely. Tania, it was so nice getting to chat with you. And again, congratulations on your new singles. I know you have a new song out later this month as well, so I can't wait to hear that.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your support, and great to meet everybody. And I hope you guys do well during this hopefully last lockdown, and all the best to you guys.
Fingers crossed. Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching. And last is our list. I can't even talk today. Our tonight's episode of Eat North Variety Pack. That's the show I'm hosting right now, and I almost forgot the name of it. It's been a long week. I'm your host, Dan Clapson. Thank you to my lovely co-hosts, Mairlyn Smith and Steve Brochu. And again, Tania Joy. We will see you all next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thanks.
Eat North Variety Pack. Food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack. 'Cause variety's the spice of life.